All right, let's talk about Candyman Farewell to the Flesh. But before we do that, really quick, I want to reminisce about my childhood. The actress in this movie, Kelly Rowan, she's been in a bunch of stuff. She's had a pretty good career. She was on the OC, whatever. She's really, really good in this movie. But while I was watching it, I was like, wait a minute. Isn't that Stephanie from this movie I loved as a kid? And sure as fuck it was. Oh my God. Any 80s fan, any 80s kids out there watch this show? Oh yeah. My Pet Monster, the movie. One of my favorite movies as a kid.
I'm really strong. I am your monster friend.
Yeah! Oh man. Seeing Stephanie from My Pet Monster was so cool, man. That made the whole movie for me alone. Yeah! I love this fucking little guy. I've had him forever. Anyway, let's get into the movie. I'll stop geeking out about shit I loved as a kid. So this movie starts with Purcell from the first film, which was just a cool little throwback. Just a lot of horror movies start with that cliche of killing a character from the previous film in the opening, which this one does as well. But I like that he's written a book, and that book features a reflective cover that you could say Candyman into. I thought it was a really neat touch. And I also like that Helen is mentioned just in a news clipping, and he brings it up for like a second. But it, connects to the first, so that this isn't just completely disregarding the events of the first film with the, bringing back Purcell, showing Helen, So I did like that they did that. This movie also has Candyman featured within 7 minutes as opposed to 45 minutes. And that's yet again very typical for a sequel. They wait a long time to show you that antagonist in, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Jaws, whatever. But in the sequel, it's like, we know who you're here for, and here they are. And so, yeah, you get him much more in this movie and much, much quicker. Philip Glass's return to this is odd to me because I had heard he was, displeased with how the first one was and all that. So when I saw that he had returned, I was like, you fucking hypocrite. Like, okay, maybe what I read was untrue. I also like the change of location from Chicago to New Orleans. New Orleans is a very superstitious place. Louisiana in general is, but New Orleans, that whole area, if you ever go down there, it is super, super superstitious. These people really believe in myths and legends and folklore and whatnot. So it was a smart change to put it down there. And a lot of the B-roll shots as well that are in this movie give it a very authentic feel to, the culture in New Orleans, in Louisiana. The director of this movie has definitely had quite the little career since here. He did a few of the Twilight movies, which isn't something to write home about, but he also recently did the Beauty and the Beast live action adaptation, which I was like, wow, this guy has definitely had a heck of a career since. You've also got Dead Meat from Hot Shots in this film. I don't see him a whole ton. I love that movie. And the detective in this film looks like David Boreanaz's doppelganger. When Dead Meat follows him to the bar and he attacks him in the bar, the bartender's response to him is hilarious. He drags him across the bar, breaking 20 glasses, as it sounds like, and then he throws him through a window in the bar. And I'm like, you want this guy out because he's doing damage to your bar? You just did 10 times more damage to the bar than he did himself. I like the paintings, in the slave quarters. It reminded me of the graffiti art within the projects in the first film. So it felt like you were watching a Candyman movie, which I always appreciate. The connections. In this movie, they show his backstory, which is what I expected. And it was pretty true to what we were told. You know, they sawed his hand off and they covered his body in honey and honeycombs. And, you know, with this, though, they add that his soul was trapped in a hand mirror. Now, why at the end he wouldn't have that hand mirror better protected and hidden? Maybe it was something he wasn't allowed to touch and it was kind of just placed in that area. I don't know. It's just kind of like, you are a tangible being. You can kill people and you can move here and there and you can pick things up. And why can't you move this mirror somewhere where it would be better protected? So that's pretty silly. I also have to point out, I mean, these are little stupid gripes. I'm not actually upset about this by any means, but it's just kind of something I definitely want to talk about. His hook is used impossibly within these movies. It's ridiculous. It is a curved hook that goes back this way, and he punches through them with the round part of the hook, and somehow like drags it up and it like tears them apart. And it's like, there's no edges on this thing. You only have the point on the tip, so you could like hook someone in or up on their head, but like he goes through them and then cuts up them. And it's like, not only would it not penetrate through, but it would not tear up either. So the blade in this, or the hook in this, is in the last one, and I'm sure the next one. It's just funny. It would have worked if it was a knife. So, but the fact that they made it a hook, it just makes me laugh that they didn't decide to instead like have him like, grab people by the neck and pull them away, or stab them through the head, or do something that a hook could actually do. Another thing that happens with Blu-rays, because I got the Scream Factory Blu-ray for this, when he stabs her mom. I don't know. I haven't watched it on VHS in a long time. I don't remember noticing it then, but you can clearly see the blood pack under the mom's shirt before it's released and pours down her thing. It's bad. It's so noticeable. I was noticing in the Warlock movies, you can see the wires that are carrying when they're flying. Blu-ray is wonderful, but it can fuck up certain things. The narration by the radio DJ guy throughout was pretty good. I liked it. It set a nice tone to it. It reminded me a little bit of like The Warriors and a few other films. I was very surprised when they showed him at the, towards the end, that he was a white guy. He did not sound like that at all. This whole addition of like him having a mirror trap him and like you just break it to kill him, it's good. It's fine. As I said, he should have hit it better. He should have protected it better, but it's a fine addition. I mean, they needed a way for him to be able to be defeated, and he can come through mirrors, so it would make sense. I mean, they show him his face to prove that she wouldn't want anything to do with him anymore, and he traps himself in there. They also explain why he's called Candyman within this. It doesn't match what I had read about the short story, but he's covered in honey, and the kid licks it off of his finger or his face or whatever. I think it comes on his face, and he licks it off, and he's like, Candyman, it's honey, so he calls him Candyman. Which says it's fine too. It makes sense, as I said, so I'm fine with all these little new additions and or changes because they fit the story. I mean, it makes sense. Her being related to him is, yet again, it's fine. It's just like, he's trying to have an incestuous relationship with her? Like he wants her to come with him so that he can have her baby, and her, again, he's trying to have another Helen situation where he takes her and her baby away. I mean, okay. Like, I watch a lot of Game of Thrones, so incest is kind of old hat to me now. But it's just kind of an interesting choice. It's like, make them related and then make him want her. I guess technically he's getting his family. I guess he doesn't have to fuck her, kiss her. He's going to be with her and she's family, and the kid would be family too. So I guess I'm just taking it to a dirty place. Maybe he wasn't intending to take it. It's not like he was trying to make out with her or fucking feel her up or anything. So, I don't know. I guess that makes sense. The response time when her mother presses the button for the alarm is like the fastest in history. Now, I'm guessing the cops were already on their way because the guy killed. I don't know why they would come with like 6 officers. It doesn't make any sense. They already killed the person they think killed the detective, so why they would come in a force like that is silly. So she presses the button, and literally 5 to 7 seconds later, like 4 cops come through the door, and one of the other detectives that was the partner of the guy comes and talks to her as she's running away. Like, not only are these cops good at getting there, but they can't even corral the either possible suspect in the room or a witness. So it's ridiculous. I love it. I love how they just ignore stuff like that. Some great sets in this movie, including the slave quarters, which then gets flooded at the end, and that looks great, man. That flooded room. There's long sweeping shots and in certain scenes in this movie. So I'm definitely, the budget was considerably higher than it was in the last one. I'd be surprised if it wasn't, because this had a lot more real sets, practicals, and sweeping shots. There is some bad CGI in this movie towards the end when Candyman breaks after the mirror. Ooh, it's bad. It's, Langoliers, Lawnmower Man. I always use those as my bar. Like, this is as low as it gets. It was that bad. This movie kind of shoots itself in the foot for a sequel, although this is horror movie logic. They just ignore shit like this. And they're like, well, we said that destroys his power and kills him forever, but we want more money, so fuck what we said. Friday the 13th, part 4, final chapter. Friday the 13th, part 9, the final Friday. They don't give a shit. Nor do we, because here I am talking about every fucking one of them. The kid's room at the end, this main girl's kid at the end, her room is fucking awesome. The paintings in that room on the walls and on the blinds, and that is one cool painted room. Speaking of childhood stuff, man, yeah, I wish I had a fucking cool room like that. So, this was a lot of fun. I have heard the sequel, the next one, is terrible. I have seen it. I just can't honestly remember it all that well. But I do remember it being pretty awful. So I'm not really looking forward to the next one. But I definitely will watch it because I'm a fucking trooper. And
Ooh, you're really strong too.
oh, thanks, man.
I'll protect you.
Oh, all right. This guy's a good friend. That was terrifying. All right, guys. Out of here.